All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Walkout, presented by Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. Paul Daner Jr. and Jay Morrison here with you from Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, on the day where the Cincinnati Bengals lose to the Packers 27-18, making it 4 losses in a row. Jay, there was maybe more encouragement to be had in the Joe Flacco era, but inevitably, end of the day, another loss, another first half where they trailed by double digits, 4 in a row, and Pittsburgh on deck. What's your song of choice for today?
Well, you kind of took it in a different direction there because a lot of it did feel the same. But my song of this game is Changes, David Bowie. There is a lot of things that change. It has multiple meanings in this game.
Multiple meetings. That's the song from Jay. Let's hear the song from us.
It's the Walkout with Paul and Jay, with red hot stories from post game, interviews, analysis within the hour, right here at the Growler.
All right, welcome back into the Walkout, presented by Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. We've got a bunch of stuff that we're going to tick through here for you. We're going to spend a lot of time on this offense under Joe Flacco, the Flacco debut, and what that looked like. It was half unwatchable, half great. And so we're going to dive into that. You're going to hear from Jamar Chase, from Joe Flacco, from Zac Taylor. We're going to talk a little bit about this defense, who for the second week in a row, when the Bengals started to make it interesting, could not get stops. We had more changes happening as well on that side of the ball. We're going to bring you the Joseph Toyota drive of the game. We have very significant injury news to touch on in this one. And we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about what's next and what is now turning into a massive game on Thursday Night Football at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we do that, Bengals fans, when it comes to buying a car, experience matters. And at Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati, their team brings decades of knowledge, service, and trust to every customer who walks through the door. It isn't a dealership full of rookies. The staff at Joseph Toyota knows their stuff. They'll walk you through your options with upfront, honest, and transparent advice, making sure that you find the right vehicle for your lifestyle, whether you're looking for a rock-solid Camry, a versatile RAV4, a powerful Tundra. It's ready for the tailgate. The Joseph Toyota team will put their experience to work so you drive away with exactly what you need, and none of the games that you find at other dealerships. And it doesn't stop after the sale. Their service department is packed with seasoned technicians who know Toyotas inside and out, so you can count on fair pricing, expert care, and peace of mind. So if you're ready for a car buying experience that feels like having a veteran QB in your corner, head to Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati, right off Colerain Avenue, or online anytime at josephtoyota.com. Joseph Toyota, experience you can trust, honesty you can count on. All right, let's talk about something that maybe the Bengals can count on, Jay. Can the Bengals count on Joe Flacco turning this offense into something that actually is watchable? It wasn't at first, and then things changed pretty dramatically at the end of the second quarter and throughout the entire second half. Do you buy into the encouragement and maybe the momentum that could have come from a second half where Joe Flacco was 21 of 30 for 179 yards with 2 touchdowns, no picks, and just 1 sack?
I do. This wasn't last week. This wasn't 28-3, and then all of a sudden you hit the gas and you start making some things happen. This was down 10-0, a split second away from being down 10-3. If an NFL record field goal by Evan McPherson, if LaFleur doesn't call the timeout, and then you come out in a 17-play drive to start the second half, it's 10-7. That is a real defense. This game was still in the balance, and the offense clicked and got it going. And I think there is some real momentum and some real optimism. And we talked about this on Friday in the prediction video, that this is probably how it was going to go. This was going to be the warm-up game. This was going to be the stepping stone to Pittsburgh. There was going to be a lot of talk about moral victories and silver linings. I don't think anybody expected it to be as Jekyll and Hyde as the first and second half were. But the grand scheme of things, they found something. They got something going. And I do think offensively, there's a lot to build on here.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is exactly what we thought it could be, where it would be sluggish and rough at first. I mean, there's just not a lot of chemistry with any of these guys. And you see one first down on the first 4 drives. After that, the next 5 drives, 19 first downs and 18 points. Once they got through that sort of ugly part where they were trying to get things figured out, I asked Zac Taylor specifically how much of maybe those first 4 drives felt like that was just going to be part of the new quarterback thing. Here's what he had to say.
Offensively, it was just getting used to being out there, his first time playing. Do you account some of that to that?
I don't want to put it there. You know, I thought he was definitely ready as he came in the game, and just part of it is you hear me say a lot, getting that first down and getting a flow there, and we went 3 and outs in those first 4 drives. And I think before the half, that certainly gave us some confidence, even though we came up with no points. We got into a rhythm. We found some things in the pass game. We were able to complement it with the run game. So we felt coming into halftime, the defense had done enough to keep us in that game. We knew getting the ball to start the half, we were going to have a shot there. And so I definitely think we walked into halftime with some confidence, as lousy it is to say that with 0 points on the board. But that was the truth, and you definitely saw that coming out in the second half there.
What was the key to rhythm starting that second?
Well, just, again, getting the first down. And felt like we had a good plan coming out, good flow. We were able to get some of the stuff we wanted to get to early in the game. We just didn't have any plays.
I understand they're not going to come out and say, yeah, new quarterback. Of course it's going to take us 4 drives to get 1 first down. I understand that. But I will give a benefit of the doubt on that. I will say that when you have a guy that's hardly played with these receivers and with this team, and he's trying to figure out, and they're all trying to feel this thing out, I think you do give some grace to that. Well, and no one wants to take those moral victories. No one's going to sit up there and say that to us, but I think we can say that. I feel comfortable saying that like, yeah, you expect there to be some sluggishness until you start figuring it all out and figuring out how it all works. And so I think you can look at this and see, man, like you've got to feel great. It needs to look great on Thursday from the beginning. And they've been outscored 79-9 in this 4-game losing streak in the first halves. And they haven't scored a touchdown in the first half till you go all the way back to the last time they won against Jacksonville. But it needs to be better early then, but I think there's more reason to believe that. I will say, look, new quarterback, I'll give you some grace on those first 4 drives, only because the last 5 all moved the ball consistently, all went into Green Bay territory. I think that was, you saw Joe starting to find that comfort when he was back there.
Yeah, not just the comfort, the chemistry. It's one thing to know the offense and to know the play calls and to get in there and do that, but we talk about all the time, like football, a lot of stuff happens off script, and a lot of things, it's just knowing the guys that you're throwing to and what they like and what they don't like. And I think that was a big part of it. Jamar talked about that, he had 12 reps with Joe Flacco this week. Yeah, Joe Flacco just got here, but Jamar was also sick. Like they hardly worked at all, and that's why I kind of went with the changes as the song, because the play that everybody's talking about, the touchdown that Jamar made, the incredible catch, Flacco made the incredible throw. James Rapine asked Jamar about that touchdown, and Jamar gave it one of these. You could tell the wheels spinning. Do I say this or do I not say it? And he finally says it, and he says he changed Zac's play call. He changed the call from the sideline. It was based on what he was seeing. He told Flacco to go with a different play. Flacco trusted him, and they pulled it off. They executed it for an incredible touchdown, and that's where these kind of things start. The chemistry starts to build, and so that's the lead of my story. That's just that one moment in this game, I think, is the biggest reason for optimism going forward, that these guys that barely know each other have that confidence in each other, and to do something like that. Zac even mentioned in his post-game press conference, he's like, I can't even describe what that route was, because he didn't know. He didn't call it. It was something they made up on the fly, and it worked. And I think that was a big key, a big first step in getting this offense back to where it can actually help this team win games.
Yeah, Joe Flacco was talking about in his press conference about there were some times where I knew that I did not call the right play. And I just kind of would look at Jamar and we figure out a way through hand signals to like, okay, I see that you have that. We can try to make something like that work. And that's part of what ends up happening there, where it's just, a lot of times the calls that were coming in were not always executed perfectly for the guy who got here on Tuesday, shockingly enough. And you see them starting to figure that out. Let's bring in a little bit of that Jamar Chase audio talking a little bit about trying to gain chemistry with Joe Flacco.
I didn't really get to practice with him. So, I was just out there just trying to make a play for him. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's throwing the ball up to one of the best receivers in the league. I just got to make a play. But at the end of the day, Joe did good with communicating with the receivers and talking to the receivers of what we liked and what we see and if we want a conversion route. So.
How many during the game? Did that improve during the game? Just kind of evolved during the game.
We didn't really have it on too many routes, but certain routes that we had it on. Me, Joe, and T, we talked about it in the huddle before the certain play, and that's how we built the chemistry right there.
How many reps would you say you did get with Joe this week before the game on Sunday?
Probably about 12.
Is that a lot for you? Like, we've seen sometimes when Joe's been injured, you say you guys don't need those reps.
Oh, it's the difference between Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've been playing with Joe for years. I have been playing with Joe Flacco for a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, those reps I had with him were good enough. But we could definitely get better. It's always more to improve.
Yeah, that gets overlooked, right? The illness where you only, 12 reps with the guy, and he goes out there and he has 10 for 94 and that incredible touchdown. It does give you some version of hope where they can go going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was T too. There were some plays where Joe, and he talked about this, where he just understood how the way that those guys are able to make plays on balls. And it wasn't all easy. And Joe Flacco made some really good throws, and he threw the ball away. He didn't put it in danger. He took some hits and still delivered some throws. It changed so dramatically from the first half to the second half. And there was just a lot there to be encouraged by. But that's offensively only.
Yeah. One thing that Flacco said too was, in that first half, he wasn't as quick to see the underneath route on certain things like that. And then as the game went on, you saw that, he was quick looking for whatever he was looking for, and then he would spit those checkdowns or the underneath balls out really quickly.
Instantly.
And then as he started getting that going in that rhythm, then you saw him start to explore pushing the ball down a little bit more, and you'd see him throwing a 19-yarder to Chase and then an 18-yarder to T, and then you see him starting to more freely take those kind of shots. I think that strictly comes from just comfort with understanding what you're looking for a little bit more as the game went on. But, talk about learning how to play with guys. Listen to Joe Flacco afterwards talking about just throwing to Joe and T for the first time.
I was telling Jake, just the way they plucked the ball out of the air. I threw a quick out route to Jamar, and I didn't get the ball great, and it was an awful spiral, and he still just caught it with both hands. And then the one that I can think about to T, we hit him on a little inside slant route for a third down on that first drive of the second half. And a lot of guys would go down and kind of catch it with their body and slide, and he just plucked it right out of the air with both hands. It's pretty impressive to see those guys go.
He's literally never seen him pluck the ball before. You know what I'm saying? Gets here on Tuesday and is oh, that's kind of cool how they do that. And then you start thinking about ways that you can build on that going forward. I think I'm willing to give, I don't like how positive this is kind of sounding, honestly, because they did lose by 9, right? But I think it was all building towards Thursday. I think this was Joe being the starter from the moment that he was driving that car or in that car going down I-71 was about building from this as a bridge to being able to go beat the Steelers on Thursday at Paycor. And I think we saw that looks like a solid bridge from what we saw today. If it transfers to Thursday, you'll look back on this and say that was a big moment, that second half, and what happened in Green Bay despite how slowly it started. A reminder, Thursday, we will have a live show going on. That will be going on down at BetMGM and Tom's Watch Bar. It's going to be at 4:30 before the big Thursday night game against the Steelers. We'll be going there, and you can win tickets to the Bengals and Jets game, the next home game. We'll be giving those away. And plenty of other giveaways, as we always do down there. The prize wheel will be spinning. We'll be playing games and having a good time. We hope to see you guys down there. Come get some prizes, hang out. If you got questions for us, you want to talk about the team, any of those things, let us know. And we certainly look forward to seeing everybody down there at BetMGM.
Let's make that a challenge, because last week against Detroit, there was a lot of Lions fans there. That was like 70-30. We would love to see the Bengals fans outnumber the Steelers fans for that Thursday night game. They're going to be talking some trash, and Jamar was talking about how he knows the Steelers are going to come in and try to ruin their night. So it'd be great to see a lot of the Growl Pals out there. And again, you get a chance to win free tickets, you get free ice cream, a lot of reasons to come out to that show.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Hope to see you guys down there and see if you can stump Jay. People keep trying. They're not very successful at doing it. I'm not going to lie. It's been a tough go for people trying to stump Jay in trivia. All right. Let's talk a little bit about this defense that has a trend developed. Again, it's the good and the bad. They keep them in the game in the first half, and you have this defense. It's 10-0, and then all of a sudden it's 10-7. The moment the offense started to show life, the defense fell apart. You look down the stretch, and the Packers go in the second half. They go touchdown, field goal. I mean, and they had opportunity. They had third downs to try to get off the field. They could not get off the field. The Packers started running the ball down their throats. I mean, you end up in a game. Where do we end up here? With the Packers end up 153 yards, 4.6 per carry. And Josh Jacobs, 18 for 93 and 2 touchdowns. And his that touchdown, the second one, they just run it right up the gut. And this defense, for the signs of life that they have shown and had their moments, man, when you've needed it now 2 weeks in a row in the second half, they have just gotten beat up all the way up and down the field.
Yeah, and even when there was times where there was big third downs and they had Jordan Love in tough spots, and they let him scramble out, or they let him find someone streaking across the field for a big play. It wasn't like they were just getting beat play after play after play, but they just couldn't come up with the big stop. And then they did at the end, the 3rd and 2, the game ends. If they get the first down, they get off the field. You hope the new kicker can miss the field goal. He doesn't. There was just, it was frustrating because you hear it so many times when the offense is bad, the defense is out there too long and they get tired. That did not happen today. That you look at the end of the first half, the Bengals go on a 9-play drive. And it was late, so there wasn't a lot of time that was actually coming off the clock. But a 9-play drive that the defense is resting on the sideline. Then you have a 12-minute halftime, and then a 3-minute warm-up period, and then a 17-play, 10-minute drive to start the third quarter. That defense was as rested as any defense has ever been going when it took the field in the second half. And you've got all that momentum. It's 10-7. This game can change, and they just let Green Bay go right down the field, back-to-back touchdown drives. I'm really confused about another one of the changes, and that's Barrett Carter playing for Logan Wilson. I know they want to get the young guy in there and see what he can do, the rookie, but it just didn't look like he was ready for it. He had a really rough day. Jordan Battle had a really rough day, and you just wonder if it looked a little different if Logan Wilson had been out there a little more. I know he's lost a step, but it's kind of like a pitcher that loses his fastball, the savvy, the intellect, the knowing everything inside and out. I just feel like it would have been better having him out there, especially because you're talking about, it's not just Barrett Carter on the field as a rookie. He's playing next to another rookie in Demetrius Knight. And that touchdown you talked about, the Josh Jacobs, the run up the middle, both those guys neither one fills the middle. It's just an A-gap run right up the middle, 19-yard touchdown, basically untouched. Those kind of things can't happen. And that was a curious decision to go on the road against a good team to say, okay, we're gonna ride with Barrett Carter in this game.
Yeah, and he loses track of Josh Jacobs on that check down that ends up being a big chunk before a touchdown as well. And yeah, I understand you want more speed out there. You want a little bit more playmaking, and Zac Taylor said this is as much about Barrett as it is about Logan. Okay, I don't know that I totally buy that. But I think probably needed to be more of a mix than just totally putting the guy to the side, mostly because of that is just a lot to put on a rookie in that spot. And you see that show up. You're in a tough spot, to have your captain linebacker come out here and be already being replaced in week 6. I mean, that is, it's not ideal to be out there with 2 rookie linebackers. It's not what anybody wanted to draw up. And I'm not saying that we'll go to Oren Burks or something like that, but you just lose so much when you have 2 rookies out there in terms of understanding of what's going on. Even if they're very smart, mature, they're still rookies that are still learning as they go a little bit. And that did show up. But I get it. You're not just going to sit there and not try something new if you feel like you need a little bit more speed or juice or whatever it is in that room. But perhaps this would have been a little bit more of a half transition than a full. But we'll see how that goes forward. But Logan Wilson was pretty much on the field at all in the second half.
One play in the second half. That's one play. It's mind numbing. Not mind numbing. It's head scratching.
Head scratching. DJ Turner was great. This might have been his best game ever.
Yeah, 5 PBUs.
Yeah, 5 PBUs. He's responsible for the interception, tipping up the air. Geno Stone pulls it down. They kept going after him. He was there every time. It reminded me of that practice in camp where all of a sudden DJ Turner, who had been struggling, was getting his hands on every single football, was just having a great day. And they need more of that because Cam Taylor-Britt has one of those rough drives where he had good coverage, but it was still a deep ball over the top of him. He gets a defensive hold in the end zone. It's just not good enough right now there. But having DJ start to play, he's been really good in coverage. This is not a new thing. He's been playing really well in coverage for a few weeks now. Al Golden was talking about that during the week about how happy he is with how DJ is coming along, and you're seeing that. And it feels like they have something they can build on there if he can stay healthy and stay in these games. That's been a problem in his career. It seems like whenever he started to find himself or play well, there's been some kind of an injury. Right now, he's healthy and playing really well. But they need that because the rest of it, it just when they've needed it, hasn't been good enough. I think we have the Trey Hendrickson injury in this one, and that second half without Trey Hendrickson in there, you saw a couple of spots. The 3rd and 8 stands out to me a lot on that one, where you counting that to Trey moment. And Miles and Joseph Osai are not going to provide those types of moments the way that Trey can, and the way that you can count on him doing it. He leads them in sacks and pressures by a country mile, and now they're without. And that certainly showed in the second half.
Yeah, and Zach didn't have an update on the severity of it, but the backs have a tendency to linger. And so it is something that they're going to have. He gets knocked out of this game and they play again on Thursday night against the Steelers. That seems like a high bar to clear to get him ready. We don't know anything for sure, but it doesn't look good at the moment.
Yeah, back contusion, phrasing used on that one. Let's get to the Joseph Toyota drive of the game. I think it has to be the drive coming out of halftime. 17 plays, 78 yards, 8 first downs, moved the ball. It ends in a 4th down touchdown pass to Tanner Hudson in the back of the end zone. One where they were down on the 1, and it almost looked like T had gotten in on the previous play, but they mark him short. They try to go quick to the line and just try to shove the ball in. They have a false start, pushes it back to the 6th, and Orlando Brown gets beat in a bad-looking sack. And next thing you know, it feels like they might not even get a touchdown. They kind of play the 3rd down to get into closer. They played for the fourth down there. And then on fourth down, Flacco hangs in there, finds Hudson in the back of the end zone, a really nice play. And that really kind of is the start, really the big start of the encouragement offensively that probably came out of this game. So an important moment in this game, a long drive. Jay, did you ever find out the numbers on that on the last time they had a drive that long?
Yeah, real quick though, it was another pass, a short little check down to Tanner Hudson. He made a physical run to get it down to the 2 to give him the decision to go for it on fourth down, and then he gets the touchdown. And wanted to talk to him after the game, and I was told he's not available. That Tanner Hudson is in concussion protocol, so that's another injury. I did find the drive stats. So Pro Football Reference keeps these drive stats since 2001, and since 2001, the Bengals have had 4 other touchdown drives of at least 17 plays. Now they had one recently. They had one last year against the Eagles in that 37-17 loss. They've only had 2 other ones on the road. They had one in 2022 at Dallas. That was 19 plays. And then they had one in 2001 at the Jets, and it was a 20-play drive. Ironically enough, all 5 touchdown drives of 17 plays or more have come in losses.
Let's go to a little bit of an injury update here. The other big injury out of this one is going to be Mike Gesicki, who went out with a pec injury and it went off kind of immediately after a play, instantly ruled out. That's not a good sign. Torn pec, we know if that's what it is a season ender. And so we'll see what comes of that. We don't have anything official on Gesicki as we sit here today inside of Lambeau, but we'll have more on that tomorrow. But certainly the current fact pattern is not awesome.
The other one too, I don't know, because I had to leave early to get down to the press conferences. I don't know that last drive that ended in the missed field goal if Amarius Mims came back in. Did he come back in? Okay. Yeah, because he went out for a little bit and then he came back in. So that's a good sign that he came back in.
Yeah, Mims was in and out, and T. Higgins was checked for a concussion during the game, but ended up returning back and wasn't diagnosed with one. So just something to keep an eye on in the short week, all of those in terms of how they play out. All right, speaking of the short week, let's talk about what's next. Bengals-Steelers, just massive game at this point. You know, the Steelers have moved to 4-1. They beat the Browns today. And you know, they're ready to run away and hide. And, you know, the Bengals at 2-4, losers of 4 in a row. And if you end up at 2-5 versus 5-1 with Joe Flacco and the way all the flaws that this team does have, long season or not, that feels too long. And you have them. You've been complaining how long about not getting the home short week in these division games. You've been handed the short. You finally get one. And, you know, you have a little bit of momentum from what this offense was able to pull off in Green Bay. You just have to win. It feels like, I don't know. Maybe I'm pulling out the must-win armband here already. It's a little early for a must-win armband, but, like, it feels like that. It feels like the Bengals, if they're going to have hope this year, have to land some kind of a punch to get them back in the right direction, specifically on a team that they're going to have to chase down if they're going to be relevant.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it is too early. I mean, even if you win, you're 3-4. The Steelers are 5-2. You're still 2.5 games behind, and that's still a hill to climb. You lose, and you get the win too. You're 2-0 in the division, and they've struggled in division games, and so it is a massive game that they really need to win it. And you've done, well, I'm sure we'll go over it again this week, but you've done the numbers. Those Thursday night division games heavily favor the home teams. You can't let that advantage slip away.
Yeah, we'll trot them back out again this week, but the Bengals actually broke a long spell of we haven't seen a road winner in a long time. They did it last year in Pittsburgh, that last week of the season. One of the few times that the road team has been able to go into win. I believe early BetMGM line on that looked like 5.5-point dogs. Bengals will be 5.5-point home dogs on a short week in prime time. So plenty more coming your way on that huge game. Meanwhile, but everything, just so you know, everything's gonna be weird this week again. Short week. We're trying to get back from Green Bay on Monday. And you've got the Thursday. Everything that normally is on some sort of schedule is off some sort of schedule this week. So our rewatch show, PD&J, the predictions, all that stuff. Just this is why you should have the alerts on the YouTube page, okay? So when something posts, you'll get it. Make sure you're subscribed and following on YouTube or on your podcast platform. Just keep an eye on that feed. All the stuff will be coming. It just will be different than your normal routine. I know you don't like to get out of routine, but you can hang with us this week. I know you can do it. All right, Jay, the keys are about to be yours. You are going to be driving us from Green Bay all the way back to Cincinnati. At some point, we will make it back to Cincinnati. But this is a fun one. So from Lambeau Field, for Jay, I'm Paul, and we'll talk to you next time.